Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another installment in the N-scale railroad build in my workshop. If you watched the previous installment, you may remember that I alluded to some scenery that I've been contracted to add to the project. So you're probably expecting this video to get on with the scenery. Well, actually, since I hadn't been contracted to do the scenery until almost the end of the job, I hadn't done any other preparation for it. So that will all be taken care of in this installment. Which means, of course, that you're not going to see a lot of scenery done today. But anyway, let's just head out to the workshop and get busy. Well, today is Tuesday, September 5th, and it's been a couple of weeks since I've been out here. Over the weekend, I got this bridge built, along with the abutments. It's an Atlas product. It goes together very simply. It's only a few pieces. And then the abutments, these are scratch built from styrene sheet with some strip around the top for trim. Anyway, the first task for this morning is to cut out this area of sub-road bed and this post and get the bridge installed about here. So I need a lower deck and two posts either side of it to put the abutments on. One here and one the other side. Now, when I was building the bridge, I installed short pieces of Pico Code 55 track on both ends. Those will remain part of the bridge. It's soldered to the Atlas track that was provided with the bridge. That way the rail joiners can slide onto the next piece without difficulty. Well, this is the first step towards getting the bridge to fit. If you recall earlier, there was a single vertical just about there, where those two screw holes are, more or less in the middle of where the bridge had to go. So that has been removed. I put a plywood deck in to support the foam blocks that are going to stack up to get the scenery shape, and it also supports the two posts that will in turn support the bridge abutments. Next thing I've got to do is cut out the piece across the top, but I've got to be careful here because I don't want to cut all of it out. It's got to be cut about 2 inches long on both sides, because I will need the tongue to go above the bridge abutments. I'm going to start by cutting out less than I need to, and I'll just trim it back a little bit at a time, offering up the bridge frequently, just to make sure it ends up right. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. Well, here is that same area with the bridge abutments permanently installed. No, the bridge is not glued in place yet. The weights are there just to keep it in the right place, because it's very light. In fact, it's too light to keep itself in place without added weight. I put one bridge abutment right against the post, and the other one needed a spacer because I always give myself a little bit of tolerance. In this case, it turned out to be exactly 1/4 inch, so 2 pieces of scrap masonite was the required spacer. Although there are other things that I could get on with now, I don't want to risk vibrating the railroad and having the glue joint slide. So I'm going to go in and come out later. So don't go away. I'll be right back. Well, I went inside for a couple of hours and I've come back out now. The glue isn't completely hard yet, but it's set enough that I'm not going to have to worry about the bridge abutments moving. I have drawn a line where the road bed's going to go for the next curve. Actually, I drew 2 lines because I didn't like the first one. This is just a temporary piece to get the height right. I'm going to tear that out and then put a long piece in. And also, that wasn't properly stuck. I didn't wipe the dust away first, but it's done its job. Anyway, the next step is to put a piece of road bed in. Ultimately, I'm going to have to put the track and the road bed on the double track main through the Winslow seam as well, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to concentrate on getting the foam blocks stacked up, because if I can get those glued in place today, that's one day earlier that I can start carving them. Now, I have a whole load of blue foam offcuts left over from doing the bench work, and I'm going to cut those up rather than buy new stuff. So let me get back to work, and I'll check in with you again soon. Don't go away. Well, I don't know what I was thinking earlier. I certainly can't get anywhere near as much done as I was hoping to. But I have got a lot of wood blocking in supports for the foam at various levels. I've got one in behind the sub-road bed there, and a couple sticking out the back there, the deck down there, and I built this up, got it level. There's 2 pieces of foam in the front and a piece of masonite to build up the right thickness. So I can now just lay foam blocks on top of that. I put a vertical piece at the back, filling up the gap at the bottom of the backdrop. So I am going to get some foam blocks stacked up, but I can't get anywhere near as far as I was hoping to. I'm going to have to get the track in the front so I can get the tunnel portals and retaining walls in on both levels. And also I'm going to have to order a whole load more retaining walls. I'm so used to HO scale that I grossly overestimated how much retaining wall that I was going to get. And 1 pack of N-scale walls only does a wall about 8¼ inches long. So I'm going to have to order some more of those. I will do that when I go in this evening. Fortunately, Woodland Scenics deliver pretty quickly. Anyway, let me get back to the foam blocks and I'll check in with you later. Don't go away. Well, I've been stacking blocks for a couple of hours now. I'm just starting to rough in the shape of the landscaping around the bridge and the cut in front of it. But tomorrow morning I'm going to come out, lay the track through Winslow, through this tunnel and through onto the bottom level to about where the cork gun is now. So until then, don't go away. I will check in with you tomorrow. Well, last night after I went in, I ordered some more retaining walls. They'll be here in a few days. And this morning I have laid about 11 feet of track on each track. So 22 feet altogether to get me through the area that I'm scenicking. They end here at the moment. Ultimately, they will have to be trimmed back a couple of inches because there's a bridge that goes in there. But as yet, I don't know exactly where it's going to be, so I deliberately left them long. Anyway, I'm going to go inside now and let that glue set up. And I will come out later and continue with the scenery. So don't go away. Well, this tunnel portal is not tall enough to allow a double stack through. At the moment, it's jacked up on 1/8" masonite. And although the double stack clears, it's very, very close. So I'm going to jack it up a little bit higher. I'm thinking I need double masonite on both sides. Otherwise, it could still hit the tunnel if it's wobbling. So let me get that organized and I'll be right back. Well, there is the tunnel portal prepped for use. You can see I have a piece of 3/4 inch plywood on the back of it to strengthen it, stop it getting broken, and also to make it easier to glue it to the benchwork. I've also installed the tunnel liner using a piece of Woodland Scenic shaper sheet, and you can see the 1/4 inch wood blocks that I've used to jack it up with. Here is the other side. Although the double stack cleared the gap in the backdrop, it was very tight and there wasn't really room to get the tunnel liner in. So I used my oscillating saw to raise the opening. The next thing I'm going to do is get the tunnel liner painted black, and then once that's dried I can glue it in place. So don't go away, I will be right back. Well, I've now finished laying the track through the Winslow scene and through the area that I'm doing the scenery. I think I might have already mentioned that, but I've now wired it up and tested it just while there's a locomotive sitting up there. I've got temporary jumpers down here connecting all the sections together, and another pair, that blue and white wire that's down there connects the 2 halves, because right here we have an electrical gap. That is the end of the canyon section and the start of the helix section. So they're both different power districts. I actually made it more difficult than I needed to. I should have done it before I painted the track, but I forgot. So I've had to scrape the paint off where the solder joints need to go. And I also ballasted the track yesterday where it goes through the tunnel, because it'd be impossible to reach afterwards. And I have the tunnel liner shaped and painted. Let me install that and paint over those solder joints, and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, the tunnel portal and its liner have now been permanently glued into place. I used liquid nails, although there are other products available which are just as good. Power Grab and PL300 come to mind as being products that I've used. Anyway, I got part way through this one and I realised that I'd forgotten to do the single track at the top. Here it is. It's a couple of steps behind. I have the portal raised to take double stacks and I have the block of wood to strengthen the back of it. But I haven't yet shaped a tunnel liner. So that is my next step. By the time I've done that, then this one should be firm enough to continue. So let me get back to work and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, I have the tunnel liner for the single track bore already shaped and painted, and I've installed the retaining wall for the lower tunnel. I'm going to extend it at least one, maybe two more panels when I get the new stock, but as I mentioned earlier, I didn't order anywhere near enough. Anyway, what I've got to do now is wait for that glue to set before I disturb it. So I'm just going to go inside and get on with something else. In the meantime, don't go away, I will be right back. Well, it's been a few days since I've been out here. The extra retaining walls arrived a couple of days ago, and I came out yesterday, although I didn't bring the camera with me. I got the rest of the retaining walls installed, and the second tunnel, there it is up there. That's 3 packets of retaining walls, of the stone retaining walls, and 1 of the concrete. If I brought the camera out yesterday, I would have shown a photograph of how I did this one. You can see the 3 screws on the edge of the sub-road bed. I screwed a block of wood on edge. You can just see the end of it sticking out there. And all the retaining walls are glued to it using liquid nails. Anyway, the task for today is to finish stacking up the foam blocks. I think before I do that, I'm going to carve some rough shapes in what I've already got, just to see what it looks like, and then continue from there. So let me get the multi-tool out, and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, that's all for this week. Hope you enjoyed the show, found it useful or interesting, or both. And I hope to see you back next time, where I will continue where I left off and get the basic scenery done. So until then, thanks for watching, and bye for now.